All right, welcome back to Blue by 90, presented by Feldman Chevrolet of Highland. Go over to feldmanchevyofhighland.com. Check out, they've got a great collection of used cars, new cars, good lease deals, everything. My wife and I were actually looking at the deals that they got going, looking at a couple options for SUVs, a little bit, trying to size up and see what they got. But go check it out. They've got it all over there. Shout out Woodson Whiskey as well. I'm sipping on a little cocktail here myself. Just trying to. It's cold here. It warms you up. I in the winter when it's been it warmed up to about 30 today, which was a heat wave. But when it's 0 and negative degrees, we actually went skiing last weekend and I was drinking Woodson whiskey starting at like 9 a.m. Just you had to in order to go out on the mountain.
Man, I'll tell you what, I've been on a bit of a health kick this year. I'm down about 15 pounds,
Wow.
just getting after it. Yep. And so then I went on a work trip to Orange County. And, look, the drinks, I don't think the drinks or the calories from the drink or food there, should count. Personally,
I agree.
Hospitality suites till midnight, whatever food. I mean, they had a whole just buffet most nights. And
It's so hard with the work trips. If you're somebody out there who does that on a regular basis, I think it's like nearly impossible because you can say you're going to get up in the morning and work out, but you got like the 8 a.m. meeting or whatever.
Right. You got to pack your gym clothes, your shoes on the check bag. Like
you always have good intentions going into it. Like, yep, I'm going to get up early, and then like you said, that hospitality suite goes till midnight. Like you're going to be there till 11:45.
Yeah,
least,
100%.
Right?
You might shut it down. You might. You might try to leave at 10:30. And then you might say goodbye to the same people 5 more times. And one of the guys was like, dude, I love you, but get the heck out of here, man. What are you doing? I was like, I said goodbye an hour and a half ago. He's like, that's that Midwestern goodbye you guys all do. I was like,
there's always that one, that one group or that one person. Sometimes it's me, to be honest. That's like, hey, let's go to the bar, the hotel lobby bar for one more, right? Just one more.
Somebody orders a whole bottle of wine.
Right.
Yeah. You're like, all right, we'll split it on the corporate cards. Like, how much of a tip can I leave? Like all.
Yeah. Everyone's been there. But
so otherwise no drinks for me. But it has been cold. I have another trip to Omaha though in about a week, and the day I land is going to be 57 degrees. Tropical paradise, wow. Omaha, Nebraska in February.
There you go.
So, definitely be making sure that remind those folks who won the basketball game against Nebraska about a week ago. But
all right, let's get into it. I mean, it's been a while since we've done a pod here, and Michigan basketball has had a lot going on. Let's start with the beginning of the week, this past week. So big week, obviously we knew that. Nebraska came in. Let's start with they have never won a tournament game, an NCAA tournament game.
That's not very nice.
Well, I mean, it just sets the stage for that they seem to not know how to handle.
That's also true. That actually is fair. I've seen a lot
of back and forth game in Chrysler. It was I didn't think Michigan played particularly well at the beginning. Nebraska, I got to give it to them when they shot the lights out to start the game. They're unbelievable. Like they're a very, very good basketball team, right? They are like super meticulous, methodical. Everything is run very, very well. Hoiberg's got them like a well-oiled machine, and you have to give that to them. Ultimately, down the stretch, they didn't end the game. Michigan's defense stepped up. They hit, I think it was like I don't think they hit maybe 1-3 for the last like 11 minutes or something like that, was all it was. And, Michigan just kind of like muscled up at the end of that game and was like, all right, we're not going to, let them do this. And then and also we got to the foul line, and, there's a disparity in the free throws. Understand it that, There are bad calls on both ends. If you've ever watched a Big Ten basketball game in your life, which I've watched a lot of them, I've watched way too many Big Ten basketball games with terrible officiating. It happens every single time. If you're going to blame it on the officiating, I don't know what you want to do.
I kept seeing this tweet. You cannot get a hook and hold when you're the ball handler. It's not how it works, man. It's not a hook and hold. I saw Ant was on Twitter. I mean, just kept saying the same thing, but like he got his hand caught in the cookie jar. Like you're going in for a steal. Will Cheddar is within his right to rip the ball, to protect the ball. Like that's just not a hook and hold. Because I saw a lot of Nebraska fans would show up on my timeline like, oh, now they call the hook and hold. I don't think they've watched enough basketball to understand what a hook and hold is and when it's applicable.
Correct.
But that also, I mean, that stuff like that happens in football too with Michigan, Nebraska. Like they were mad because the play clock was at 0 for a split second. And people were trying to dunk on me and the Nebraska fans were like, yeah, I'm going to like this and ratio this guy, but they were wrong. Just like they're wrong here. Like it's just, they don't understand the rules and they're not used to this level of success. Like, hey, you were in a game where you scored 50 in the first half on Michigan. You were up, I think 11 at one point in the first half. Yeah. You're up like 8 points with 8 minutes left. Like, first of all, I don't know how Michigan won that game, to be honest. Like, just from a vibes perspective, with like 8 to go.
Oh, I was like,
there's no way this is going to happen.
It felt like Wisconsin all over again, where for some reason on our home court against a top 5 team, you just have like no juice at all. That's something that I don't know the answer, but we got to figure that out about Chrysler. Like, come on, man. I mean, this is, we'll talk about MSU in a second, but like, the one thing I got to give it to the Sparties is the Breslin is rocking no matter what. And especially in that scenario, even if it's a Tuesday night, doesn't have to be Friday night at 8:00. So we do got to figure that out. But to your point, it just felt like it was like, all right, this is just not going to be our night.
Yeah. And so, from the Nebraska perspective, you should be extremely proud of even with the 2 losses this week, like they went to Ann Arbor, they went to Champaign and they battled. Or I'm sorry, they were in Lincoln and they battled.
Yeah.
Like those are, Michigan's one of the best teams in the country. Illinois, top 10 team, right? And so, aside from all that stuff, I mean, Michigan gave up 22 points in the second half. I mean, there was bad defense in the first half, very bad moments. They didn't communicate well. Nebraska also was hitting some junk. Like there was that fadeaway 3 in the corner with
I was like,
come on, man. Right? Is this Wisconsin all over again?
And Sanford is just like, I mean, you just got to how does he release it so fast? It's unbelievable.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's those guys move the ball. They can shoot. They're smart. They're poised. And they made that a really good game without 2 of their best players. So that's going to be a team that in, a month and a half or whenever the Big Ten tournament is, that like could be, a semifinal or a championship game type of matchup with Michigan, Nebraska. So,
agreed.
But, it was ugly. The turnovers were horrible. And they found a way to win, man. Like ultimately, yes, very frustrating. This, I'm an emotional watcher, but then after the fact, I'm like able to look back and be like, okay, like it's not as bad as I thought in the moment. There were definitely a lot of, dumb turnovers, some bad defense, but guess what? They found a way to win against a top 5 team, right? Like, I don't know. I'm not going to be apologizing for that.
First of all, we do not apologize for winning. We've been on the record for that.
Especially not top 5 wins.
And then like I know it's not, it's Nebraska, who's not a perennial like blue blood type program or even top of the Big Ten program, but you're still not going to apologize for that. I mean, it's just over the course of a basketball season, it's just so much different than football because you just play so many games and you think about these guys now with the expanded Big Ten, they're traveling to the West Coast, back to the East Coast, back home, playing Tuesday and then Saturday or Sunday and then Wednesday. It's a rigorous schedule, and so it's just so hard. And so if you can, ugly or not, if you can pull out that win, you obviously take it. Especially when you have to think about how Dusty is prepping this team when you have 2 top 10 games in 1 week. Like you can't not, it's one of those things like where, some of the coach speak comes in of like, oh, we're not looking past this game. But you have to prep for MSU before the Nebraska game, right? Like you're prepping for both games all at once because after Tuesday, you only have Wednesday, Thursday to prep for the Friday game at the Breslin, which is, somehow even more important, right? And so, huge win against Nebraska. And then, you head to the Breslin. Once again, I just want to acknowledge that environment was unbelievable, and that's what makes this rivalry special.
Yeah, it was loud, it was raucous. I mean, the pregame stuff with Dusty. Can you imagine if that was inversed, by the way? Can you just imagine the bitching and moaning?
Oh my God. And I'll say this, thank God that we won that game, because it would have been that would have been memed to death.
Yeah, well, thank God they won that game for a lot of reasons. But yeah, I mean, in the first half, man, I mean, it felt not that they were flat, but they were maybe a little stagnant. And then, Yaxel, he gets the hook and hold. He makes the 2 free throws. They get a stop, and then he gets an and one, and it's a 5-0 run from Yaxel. And then they were off to the races at the end of the first half there, because they were up, 42-24 before Cohen Carr got a dunk right before half.
Yep.
And then you come out of halftime, and it's like the flip was switched, and Michigan State goes on a run, and you're just like, I mean, I don't know what it was like. Maybe you need to take us through the Pretzel Bell basement as to what the environment was like. But I'm sitting watching it, like holding my breath, like just waiting for the other shoe to fall. And it's like, oh shit. And they weathered the storm, man. Elliot Cadeau played phenomenal down the stretch. I mean, he hit big shots. You compare him to Jeremy Fears in the last 7-8 minutes of the game, or whenever kind of crunch time was. Cadeau's making big plays. Fears is trying to trip guys. Like, there's just a big difference there in terms of who is actually doing something to try to win the basketball game versus maybe, do something cheap. So, Cadeau was hitting big shots, man, and he was coming up huge. It was just an awesome game. I mean, Michigan gave up a 18-point lead and then still won by 11 or 12 or whatever it ended up being. So, I
mean, it's game of runs, right? Like that's basketball. Okay, I got a couple funny things from Pretzel Bell. One was I got there, Caleb got there. The game was at 7, I think.
Yes, he was there at 3:00.
What's that?
He was probably there at 3:00, ready to go.
He was there like 5:45.
Yeah.
I got to give him and Jordan Avery a shout out. They got our seats, which was great. We didn't get there. This is pretty typical of myself, but didn't get there till like 6:45. But he said they got there early because he wanted to eat before the game and like get that over with, so he didn't have to like worry about food, during the game is going on. But then he said 5:45 was too close to the game, that his stomach was already like butterflies, so he couldn't eat.
Man. Yeah, he's the real one. Like I get nerves before football games, mainly the big ones, but but the basketball games, like they don't, I love basketball, but like honestly, this team, I felt so good about it. I'm like not even that concerned. So like 6:50 rolls around, my heart starts beating a little bit, but I was I was able to have some dinner, thankfully.
I mean, my heart's beating for sure. I'm like pumped and jittery a little bit, but I'll still scarf down some food. Nothing's gonna stop me from that.
No. TV timeouts are made for.
Yeah, exactly. But and then at the second or at the end of the first half, we're going on that run. It feels like our defense is unbelievable and we're making shots every time. And I said to Caleb, we got to stretch this lead as far as possible because that they're going to come out hot in the second half. There's no way that they're going to lay down in this, right? And we did. You stretch it to, what was it, 14 or 16, something like that.
16 and a half, but they got up 18 right before, and then Cohen Carr got a dunk right before half.
Yeah. And it was 20, or was it close to 20 or over 20?
It was 18, yeah.
18, okay. And so that's what I said. And that, turned out to be so true of like, obviously they come all the way back. They even take the lead. And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, if we had like let off the gas a little bit at the end of the first half and it's only a 12-point lead or, a 10-point lead or something, I mean, they could have went on that run and taken a 10-point lead, And so so that was unbelievable. MSU goes on that run, and I put this out in a tweet the other day too, but you kind of alluded to it just now, like to be able, that in that environment to let them come all the way back, that the Breslin's just going insane, right? And most teams in the past, whether it be a Michigan team or just any team in the that's visiting the Breslin, they turtle in that scenario, right? MSU makes their run. Usually the officiating ends up on their side, which I'll be honest, I felt like that was the first time in maybe ever that we got like the benefit of a whistle in the Breslin ever. I don't remember a time where we did. And it was still pretty even, but I'm just saying, like, I felt like we maybe came out on top. But anyways, the mental toughness to be able to withstand that, and then have Cadeau and Johnson and Yaks down the stretch make those plays was something that set me apart for like, holy shit, this team is really special.
Well, when they took the lead 57-55, I think Fears got a transition bucket, and then they were up 59-57 with 6 minutes 55 seconds. Michigan went on a 17-6 run.
Yeah.
To just basically, there's nothing that you can really do here. And MSU got some, here's a crazy stat. I'm sure you saw this, and I'm sure it's been talked about, but Michigan State did not get any second chance points until garbage time. The first second chance points that they got were that kick out with like a minute left for, I think Fears hit a 3, but it cut it to like 9 points. Like they were just.
And when have you ever, like the storyline of this game and every game under Tom Izzo is always Michigan State comes away with 12 offensive boards and 20 second chance points. That's just always how this goes.
Yeah. So the fact that again Michigan was able to really weather the storm, deal with some of the non-basketball plays being made on the court, and keep their composure. I think just bodes well for this team. I mean, it's a very mature basketball team. They got a lot of dudes that are, 21, 22, 23 years old. And they've got a lot of contributors that have been in these types of situations. Now, granted, maybe in, different conferences or against different levels of intensity that maybe don't compare to this, but it prepped them. Cadeau played in Duke UNC, right? I mean, that's one of the best rivalries in the sport. But, for like a guy like Yaxel, like, I don't know who UAB's got on the schedule that's like that, intense. But, I mean, he had 26 and 13. And played his ass off. So, it was just great to see those guys really step up and not fall into the nonsense that sometimes happens in this game.
Yeah, 100%. I think there were a couple instances of that. It was just good to see Yaks like have that take over a game, because I think we've been looking for that for the past probably month, like the whole month of January. You were looking for that and it just didn't come. He had the injured calf. Even when he came back from that, it just didn't feel like he had it or had the explosiveness. So this was a game where he was like, okay, fuck it, I'm taking over, and he did. One instance of that though early on was the flagrant karate chop hammer from Fears on Yaks. He gets taken to the ground. They call a flagrant immediately. I don't know if you remember seeing it. Yaks gets up, puts his hands up, and just walks away. Right. And just like that alone, I'm just like, I'm sure Dusty just talked about it, all week, right? To be like, hey, don't succumb to what they're going to try to do to you. It's only going to backfire. But still, in the moment, when you get hammered that hard, like your first instinct is get up and fight. Right. And so for him to have that is just really, really good composure. And then one other thing I wanted to touch on there too, before we'll talk about Fears in a second. I mean, that's a whole other topic, but Carson Cooper, right? Like he is a senior guy that is, has just been a go-to for Michigan State in this year, even last year, for him to have 6 points, 2 rebounds. Like, I mean, that is just, I know we're big. I know it's, I'm sure it's hard to get rebounds when Mara and Johnson and Yaks are in, but they're just that there are not many teams that have ever done that to an Izzo team. So it was pretty unbelievable to see that. I mean, Kohler only had 5 boards. Cam Ward was their highest rebounder. I'm sorry, Carr was their highest rebounder with 7, as a guard. And I know he can jump out of the gym, obviously, but so at the end of the day, MSU had chances down the stretch to, tie, to bring it back. I'm not going to discount them. They're, most of the time MSU teams go through a little bit of a lull in January, and then they, by March, they're full steam ahead. That's, been the typical, but outside of Fears, I don't know who the go-to scorer is. I think it's tough when, Carr's your guy. He's an unbelievable dunker, unbelievable playmaker, but we were literally able to not guard him on the 3-point line, and there's really nothing he can do. Yeah,
he tried the one. He lined it up, and he bricked it. I don't think they really have that guy.
And Kohler's been okay, it's been nice, but even Fears is 1 for 5 from 3-point. He's not a 3-point shooter. He's get to the line, and so when you don't have that outside shooting, which it sounds like they're going to try to start Jordan Scott, moving forward, or something's going to happen there. But I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. But to the Michigan side of things, it's just man, what a complete team. Just what a every single guy did their part. Down to the Will Cheddar, who gets significant minutes. Trey McKinney, significant minutes. I'm very curious as to what's going to happen to Amari Burnett going forward. Trey keeps getting more minutes. I don't know what's going to happen to LJ. Namari didn't play the last bit of the MSU game, didn't play the last bit of Nebraska. I love Namari, great kid. Really, he's our best 3-point shooter, I still think, to this day.
You think so?
I mean, McKinney's on fire right now, obviously, but Cadeau is obviously shooting the shit out of the ball, but it's just a spot-up shooter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think it's tough because I think teams have found a way to take that away. You watched Amari, he's not getting a lot of open looks.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the shots that Trey McKinney – man, I don't know how much time we're going to get with Trey McKinney. I don't know if it's going to be this year, but if he has a great run over the next month and a half, I don't know. But if he comes back to college next year, look out, because the shots he's making, the plays he's making, against Nebraska, he has a tough pull-up that he rattles home. He did that against Michigan State once or twice. He hit some big 3-pointers. The kid's got it, man. I don't know who to compare him to in terms of recent Michigan players. But I wouldn't be surprised if his trajectory is that of Nick Stauskas. And I'm not saying they're the same basketball player, but I'm just saying in terms of, freshman year, make some shots, make some plays on a really good team. Sophomore year, in contention for player of the year type conversation, because he is that good and he's only going to continue to get better.
100%.
That kid has I love Namari. Unfortunately, from that perspective, you got to play McKinney 20 to 25 minutes. And that's what happened on Friday night. He just gives you a different dynamic.
Same thing with LJ. I think LJ, is a good, good basketball player. He just doesn't do all the things that Trey can do, right? It's Trey can handle the ball. He can shoot. He can go off the dribble. He can get to the rack. He's really that 5-tool type guy. And yeah, to your point, I think, pre-NIL, I think there's a chance that McKinney is goes the Iggy Brasdeikis route and is a one and done. Now, thank God for NIL, I think he can still make a ton of money, but develop in college and then be the primary ball handler and be that player of the year type guy in as a sophomore, and then you go become a lottery pick. Right. And I think his size is really impressive. He is 6'4", and 225 or something like that. So, to be able to be as quick as he is, but still he can body anybody down low, and he has height, right? So,
when he's able to work on getting to the rim, that's where I think that development into top 10 lottery pick comes from is just adding to his game, maturing his game. But very excited about his, development over the next, couple months, and then hopefully next year, so over the summer and into the 2026 season. But man, this team, I mean, we're not, we got a couple months here to enjoy this team.
I will be enjoying them a lot. So, and I'm gonna cross my fingers. I'm gonna hold, trying to hold back a little bit before I'm like, saying Final Four or something like that, because anything could happen.
Yeah, it's the Final Four team. I mean, it's talented enough to get to a final. It's talented enough to win a national championship. It's just March is different, one and done, right? But also survive in advance. So, even if this team doesn't get to a Final Four, I think this is the best Michigan basketball team since 2012, 2013.
I agree. And
even though there's been multiple, Elite Eight, there's been a Final Four team to a national championship in there. Like, it's a better team.
It is. It's so deep. I mean, 9 guys deep is like, any of those guys could start on most Big Ten teams, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, shout out Dusty. He's pretty incredible to do this in year 2. And, the portal helps, NIL helps, but he's got this thing rolling.
He's riling some people up, man. He's getting some people pissed off.
Some people pissed off. Well, it started with fears. So I want to address this a little bit, talk through it. I want to start by saying nobody's saying that Jeremy Fears is a bad basketball player.
No, right? I think he's a really good basketball player, and this stuff pisses me off because he doesn't need to do this stuff.
That's exactly my point. That is exactly what I was going to say, is like, if you do all this, you can be a gamesman and, try to get to the rack by going to the rim and drawing fouls. You don't need to stop in front of Ade Mara to do that, right? You don't need to trip Yaxel. You don't need
tripping's the bigger issue for me.
Yeah,
running in front of Mara, I think that's a weak call. I don't know what a 7-footer is supposed to do, but I guess that's how they're going to call the basketball game. But the tripping, if he was any stronger, or if Yaxel was any smaller, Yaxel might have gone into the first row. That was a really dangerous play. It's just not needed, man. It's just not. And, this will turn into, I don't think many Michigan State fans watch our podcast, but, this will turn into this entire conversation, they'll victimize themselves somehow, just like Tom Izzo did. We're watching the same game, man. And they'll be like, oh, but you guys tamper. Okay, dude. What are we talking about here? That's their rebuttal is that, Dusty May tampers just like every other basketball coach in the country. Sorry. You guys can get transfers. Go do it. You got no money, though.
There are a couple things that I want to say there. One, I'm totally in on, Fears. I think you just the one where he jumps up and then tries to jump into LJ and falls to the ground.
I saw someone why is this not a foul? And I'm like, because nobody touched him. He tried to kick
LJ literally was like this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, those are the things I think are unnecessary, right? Because that's not a basketball play to me, right? The one where he stops on one foot right under the basket and just hangs there until Roddy jumps on top of him. At least you're trying to get to the rim somehow. That's a basketball play, right? And so I'm fine with that. You caught somebody off balance and you made him go into it, whatever. But the other things, I just, to your point, I'm hoping that Izzo will those are the things that he's addressing, or the tripping, that's just bullshit. But so the tampering thing is dude, if you're complaining about tampering in the year 2026, after NIL in the portal has been the Wild West for the past 5 years, come on, man. Find me anybody who is not quote unquote tampering, which means they're reaching out to people to try to field a roster. There isn't a program in the country that isn't doing that type of shit. And so, I mean, how do you think that Fernando Mendoza's brother entered the transfer portal and then announced where he was going literally the next day, right? Like he didn't go on 5 visits in 24 hours and do that, right? Like this is how this all, is working right now. You can hate it, you can do that. But to play the like woe is me, and to also think that your program isn't doing the same thing, right, is just crazy to me. So that's, these are all things that it's just like, there are things, if you won the game, you wouldn't say, right? And so then you lost the game, you can't believe you lost it. So then you try to find any other reason that it can't possibly be that Michigan's the better team. It can't. That's not an option.
No, I mean, dude, it's like I have actively tried to avoid Twitter lately just because it's an absolute cesspool.
Yes.
But yeah, it's one of those things that it's the same story every single time. Like somebody does something from Michigan State that is like, hey, probably shouldn't do that. Probably shouldn't swing a helmet at a guy. Probably shouldn't jump him 8-on-1. And then somehow it's Michigan's fault. And it's just, dude, I'm so like, it comes from the top down. Izzo's doing it. D'Antoni used to do it. Like, I'm so sick of it, man. Like, are we living in the same reality here?
And also, like, this is where it's funny to me. They made Dusty out to be this like terrible person after last year with the logo thing, right? And now this stuff where he, they're like villainizing him for calling things out that need to be called out. But it makes me laugh because, like, out of all people, Dusty is a great human being. He is a very, very nice guy and like super calm and like not this like snaky. He's not like John Calipari or some shit like that, right? So it's like, I don't know. It just feels so funny to me. But you watch them, you watch what Dusty said in his presser, and then Izzo jabs back in his presser. He says, "Call me," blah blah blah. I think they hate each other. I think they legit hate each other. Yeah. It's not like, I felt like Izzo and Beeline, like there was not like a hatred. There was a very bad want to beat each other because they were both really good, but there was super respect. Right now, I don't even know if that respect is there. And I feel like they're like, I don't think it's like, oh, they, sometimes these coaches, like they, want to beat each other so badly on the court, but then in the off season, they're like vacationing, in the same place or some shit like that. I'm not saying that they would do that, cause they're rivals, blah, 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 but this feels like legitimate hatred.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell Dusty was fired up. He got on Clayton's ass a little bit at the press conference. It was like a peer.
Clayton's like, oh, shit.
Yeah, Clayton's like, I'm sorry. Okay, you don't have to apologize, man. Like, you just are, asking a question. But, yeah, I mean, you could tell there's disdain, some pot shots back and forth now. I mean, it's good for the rivalry, for sure. I mean, this rivalry is already, in both sports. Football and basketball, it is the most toxic. I would say it's probably one of the most toxic rivalries in all of sports, at least 100%. Like in America. I'm sure there's some shit over in Europe with soccer where it's like crazy, but it's toxicity, man. Even like, sometimes like the Michigan, Ohio State, right? We're at the tailgate, Ohio State guys there, man. Like, yeah, we don't like each other's teams, but it's not like that serious,
Yeah.
And like social media is not always a representation of the real world. Unfortunately, in this rivalry, that kind of is. In person, it's the same thing, right? Like the Ohio State stuff. Yeah, on Twitter, it's like, it's pretty toxic. But in person, it's like, nah, it's, if you got normal people, it's fine. So I think it's, I guess it's good for the rivalry. It's entertaining. If you don't want it to be so toxic as it has been the last, almost 20 years, then, this is not a good thing. But I don't know, man. You're supposed to not like each other. Supposed to take shots at each other. You're not supposed to like, try to hurt people, but
there's a line, right? And I'm not gonna like sit here and holier than thou, like Michigan's never done anything wrong, right? Like obviously, every rivalry has their own things. There's always cheap shots, there's always after the play shit and all that stuff. Both sides. And so, when Izzo says like I think there's things on both sides, there is 100%, dude. Yeah. always, like, if you don't think in the football game that at the bottom of the pile there isn't people punching each other in the dicks, like that's definitely happening.
That happens. That's why you work
every single play, right? And like little shit. And so, but when your head coaches are vocally doing that, that really adds to it. So it is, the rest of the season is going to be very interesting. I mean, there's a chance this plays out that MSU comes to Chrysler on, I believe, March 5th or March 8th, whatever that is. And for a chance that that game is March 8th, that there's a chance that is for the Big Ten regular season championship, which according to MSU fans is the most important thing ever, and the tournament means nothing. So I am excited at the possibility that Michigan wins the regular season championship, and then do we get to say like that means, okay, we won it all and that means everything, because that's all they said last year. So
I don't know. They really like to talk about, the Big Ten championship versus the Big Ten tournament. They both mean a lot. They should mean a lot. Like, I mean, I do think the Big Ten, I'd rather win the Big Ten regular season championship because it's over the course of, 20 games or however many games it is. The Big Ten tournament's always fun though, because that punches your ticket to the NCAA tournament, right? Like, there were some times where Michigan, when they won back-to-back, it was like, man, they're kind of on the bubble. Yeah. And so they were able to go and win that, play themselves into the NCAA tournament, get a better seed, right? So, I mean, they love it for sure. But I do think that, that you could celebrate a Big Ten tournament. Like, I don't understand, man. It's just tiring, dude. It really is. And it's this rivalry. And it's just like the same conversation over and over and over and over. And I like when Michigan State fans make fun of Michigan for hanging banners for the Big Ten tournament championship, because I don't know if maybe they've taken them down, but I know at some point they definitely, I'm looking at it right now, they had some Big Ten tournament championship banners. Of course. So like it means a lot. It's important.
You won a trophy. They do a trophy ceremony.
Cut down nets, dude. Like
what are we doing here? It's okay.
Outside of the top 4 or 5 conferences in the country, that's the most important thing to every school in the country, to get to March, to get to the tournament. Now, obviously, it's a little bit different in the Big Ten and the ACC.
And you can improve, like you can either improve or go down a couple spots in seeding based on the Big Ten tournament. 100%. Those games mean a lot. So,
or if you're Michigan last year, you get screwed on your seeding for some reason, even though you won the Big Ten tournament.
That's true. That is very true. But all right. Anything else on Michigan State or Michigan?
No, I really hope I don't have Michigan State fans. Just don't.
It is exhausting, man. It's exhausting.
I told you I turned off like my notifications other than people I follow. Like it's just too much. And I try to use the following tab, and then it goes to For You, and then I see
Twitter is just brutal these days. Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it used to be so awesome where you just only see the things that you follow.
Like check out this funny Scott Bell tweet. Now it's like I've got, Sparty 42069, like all the I have Ohio State, Michigan State. Like it just brings stuff I don't want to see or care to see.
Somehow I don't even know, but like mine is like a couple Michigan tweets, then like 40 Epstein tweets and politics, and then like boobs for some reason. I mean, I don't click on it, but I don't know. It must be spam or something.
And then it's like no 3.
Yeah.
And it's like Pete Nikos like reporting like somebody in the portal, and it's like, dude, the semester's halfway over. How is he in the portal? And you're just like, I'm gonna just turn the app off and go back to work. That's the entire experience these days for at least a sports fan, I feel like.
100%. It's tough. It's tough. All right. So let's flip over to football. I know we're in the off season here, but actually, as of yesterday, it feels like we officially have the roster that is Michigan football. And so Andrew Marsh finally posted his graphic. He finally what?
Like, I mean, he's got to have been working out with the team, right? Like
he's been working out with the team.
So my question would be like, or like the social media and like the videographers like making sure not to have him in there, not to like where was it's like, dude, it's February. Like, I saw that and I was like, cool, but like I kind of forgot about the portal. I thought we were all good there. So it's kind of funny that it took this long to get an announcement.
I don't know. I mean, it's kids, man. I have no idea. I'm not gonna try to put myself.
I try to get more bread if I could. I get it.
I'm not gonna try to put myself in the brain of a 19-year-old that's making millions of dollars like that. I can't relate. Cannot relate. But but anyways, I think that I don't know. I think that Michigan did an overall, like, what would you grade the overall offseason portal time?
I give it probably an A-, teetering on an A. Certainly some guys that left. Elijah Dotson is a guy that comes to mind.
Okay, with the caveat of the dad's open letter that he put out, like that might explain some things.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, look, they got Jordan Young back, right? Like that was one I thought was done. I thought he was gone, man. He's out of region. So I think they did a really good job. I mean, you got your core guys. I mean, it sucks losing Justice Haynes. I would love to see what he could have done in this offense, but I understand why it went that way. And, he's going home to Atlanta and he's going to be making great money and then he's going to go to the NFL and have hopefully a long career. And so I'm going to root for him as long as they're not, the Jackets aren't playing Michigan. But yeah, man, I mean, I don't think, maybe you could remind me because it's been so long. I don't think there's anybody at this point that left that I was like,
Sullivan shit. Probably.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. Because that was like literally 2 months ago almost.
Literally. Yes.
Not that long ago, but still, it feels like 2 months ago. Cole Sullivan, that one stings. I wish that they could have figured that one out. I guess I still don't understand that necessarily. He also is going to a school that's coming to Ann Arbor. Like, it's just kind of weird.
I totally
agree. Feel like a guy that was going to leave. There was guys more likely to leave than him on the team, in my opinion, and I was surprised at that.
It felt like he had already made that decision before Whittingham was hired, and he didn't even really give this staff a chance because it was pretty early in the portal.
But going to Oklahoma as a linebacker, it's not a bad move.
I agree. I mean, Venables is a defensive guy.
Yeah.
I'm sure he got a healthy check. I think a lot of these guys that like went into the portal and came back, I've been told that like none of them wanted to leave. It was just almost like the protocol of like, all right, I gotta go get my options, and then I'll end up coming, give me a little bump, and then I'll come back. And it's like that. It does suck about college football right now that like guys like a Blake Frazier, like a legacy guy, probably never once wanted to leave, but his agent's telling him to, and blah blah blah, and like I don't know that part we got to figure it out. But sorry, go ahead.
Jaden Sanders too. I'm looking at it. Jaden Sanders is another one that's disappointing. But yeah, man. Otherwise, look, I know Brandon Hillman started last year. We had a conversation in the group chat about that. I mean, there were some moments that were rough for him last year. And who knows, maybe with a, better, and Lamar Morgan's a good coach, but you look at what Witt has done in terms of like, he's bringing in like 3 or 4 assistants to the assistant coach to help with position groups. Like this is going to be a well-coached football team. Like I'm very excited about the development to see what these guys are capable of. Here's a question. How is Peyton O'Leary? Why is he listed as being in the portal? Why was that reported? He doesn't have any eligibility left. I don't understand.
I don't know if he's trying to go like play lacrosse somewhere.
That would make sense.
Something like that. Or, maybe he could possibly get a red shirt for one of his years. And he, it's just like, hey, do I throw a Hail Mary, see what happens, see if I can make $100,000 somewhere?
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
Better than going to make like $40,000 as an entry level, like, accountant or something like that. I don't know. So I don't blame any of these kids. Making $100,000 is better than, 90% of us out there. Right. So, I don't blame these kids, but a lot of these things, I don't know. It's just weird. Altogether though, I will say that with everything, if you take everything into consideration, our head coach was in jail, all these issues. You don't even hire Whittingham until Christmas, essentially. So then he's got 7 days before the portal, right? Like essentially, it's just for them to come in, be able to like make an impression and build relationships with the guys, evaluate the talent, go bring in a couple new guys, like all that. I commend them because I don't think people understand how difficult that is to just like, you haven't even like moved to Ann Arbor yet as a position coach, and you're already, calling recruits or calling guys in the portal, say, hey, come to Michigan. And they're like, hey, okay, what's your recruiting pitch? I don't know. I've been in Ann Arbor for 24 hours,
Yeah. I mean, the guys they were able to get out of the portal, I mean, they kept the class together too. Aside from Bear McWhorter and the tight end, Matt Ludwig, and maybe there was one more that I'm forgetting, but like they did a great job of keeping the core intact, keeping the big, I would have loved to have kept both of those guys. I was kind of surprised those were the two that first jumped into the portal. I think Marchese and, but they were able to get, add some. I mean, JJ Buchanan coming in like a jumbo receiver, basically. Celeste Moa. I mean, dude,
like be a dog.
Dude, I mean, like where we're at right now, and we talked about this, right after the events that led to all this, like, football wise, Michigan's going to come out ahead, right? And so, it's one of those things where, hey, this is okay. This is going to be a really good time. I think a really fun time. It's going to be different. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm very excited about the coaching staff. I'm excited to see, Bryce Underwood's working with Jordan Palmer, who is, infamously for Michigan fans, talk about JJ as the other guy with Cade on that podcast a few years ago, if you remember that. But has worked with Burrow, Lawrence, Josh Allen, like numerous big time NFL players.
The other guy,
yeah. Well, I don't know if he's worked with JJ.
No. Like I'm saying that the podcast was when he kept talking about the other guy, right?
Yeah, with Cade. But no, man, I think. Bryce is, I think making some decisions that I'm excited about, to take that next step and work with the guy that's worked with Joe frickin' Burrow and Josh Allen, right? Like, that's good to see. So I'm excited about the potential of this team. They were a young team last year, and they brought a lot of that core back, man. Like, yeah, there's a couple guys that would love to have had back. Linebacker still, you got to find some guys to emerge in defensive, tackle, but they got a lot of talent, man. They're going to be really good.
100% agree. I also think you have to take into consideration just the guys that are coming back that were, freshmen or sophomores next year, they're going to just get that much better. Right. Yeah. I have to imagine Bryce he's obviously the most important one that needs to make a gigantic leap. Ton of pressure on him again. There's no shying away from that. But I think there are a lot of quarterbacks in the history of college football that freshman to sophomore leap has taken them to a next level. So excited about that. You have Marsh, like you said, the JJ Buchanan kid. I think Jamar Browder is going to be very good. The coaching staff really liked him last year. I don't think he was physically ready. He was still pretty skinny, so he just wasn't quite there yet. But I think
Travis Johnson's a true freshman. I think is going to be really good. Like there's some talent. Hogan Hanson's back.
Yep.
Deacon Marshall.
Zach Marshall. Yeah.
Like there's a lot of talent that's back, and I'm very excited. I do wish one guy that not necessarily in terms of like actual production, at Michigan, but Brady Prieskorn, man, I was so excited about him. I would have loved to have seen him, but he's going to Ole Miss where his brother was at. So, there's some guys that you look at, like you're like, just off the potential of them, but yeah. Otherwise, man, they got a lot of young talent, and they're going to develop them, and the CVs of these coaches is like night and day, man. I mean, no disrespect, but man, it is completely different.
And it feels like it feels like down to the positional level, right? Like that's kind of what I'm looking at.
You just have one guy in the secondary, you have four.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like it just feels like it. I don't know. It feels like we quadrupled our staff somehow. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it's like we kind of just like modernized again. Like, I think Jim did it. I don't know if I don't know, man. I mean, that the talent that Jim had on that last, those last couple staffs, that made a huge difference. And you're seeing multiple of those guys that are not NFL head coaches, and which is crazy.
I don't think that's talked about enough, man. Those guys were. I mean, the trajectory of every one of those guys is.
I mean, dude, I think Jay Harbaugh will be a head coach someday. Chris Partridge, I think, could maybe come back to college, be a coordinator again. He's the linebacker coach with the Seahawks. There's just, Grant Newsom was on Sharon's staff, but he just went to coach with John Harbaugh at the Giants. That staff that they built in 2022, 23, and 21 too with Mike McDonald, is crazy. To go back to back with coordinators who became head coaches within 3 years of leaving is insane. It literally took Jesse Minter 2 years in the NFL, and now he's a head coach, literally 2 seasons after his last at Michigan. So, but to my point though, Jay Hill, defensive coordinator, is a safeties guy, right? So you have additional help there. They hired the DC from the co-DC from Boise to come in. They hired the dude from Air Force to come in with the secondary and special teams. They're just, and I'm going to learn their names, guys. It's been a whirlwind for me over the last couple of weeks. Got a lot of work travel and stuff, so I haven't been able to be on the message boards and be as much of a sicko these days. But I've seen the moves that they've been making, and I'm very excited about it because there's a lot of help. I honestly think last year, Lamar Morgan was probably overwhelmed, dude. He had safeties, corners, nickels. He's just one guy, man.
Yeah. Where is Lamar Morgan going to end up? Do we know?
Thought it was going to be VT, but I think that fell through. So I do not know. You know what? Baltimore Ravens. That's Jesse Minter's guy. That's
true.
That's how he came here, was the connection to Minter from their days at Georgia State, maybe?
Yeah, you're probably true. He is one guy that I do wish, you would have kept, but I think with Jay Hill being,
I think he's a great coach, a great recruiter, but yeah. To your point, crowded.
It is just crowded, and sometimes it just doesn't work with the personnel, right? You just don't, new guys come in and you're like, all right, no, I've got my own guys, and that's okay. But yeah, no, I think that the coaching staff was completely upgraded, overall around the, I'm not going to point out any guys, but I think overall it was upgraded. And yeah, and I think just we talked about it before, but just the discipline, the, professionalism, all those things. And then, the development, I feel like, you're going to look at, I hope a Marsh, get developed really well. Jordan Marshall and our offensive line and on. So yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm excited for spring ball.
Me too. Should we talk about the changes occurring on the Michigan recruiting beat right now? Because the only reason I bring it up, I wasn't going to say anything because I don't give a shit. But so EJ Holland's going to cover Miami on 3. Good luck to him. But he tweeted, had to follow in the footsteps of my guys, Chris Ewald and Brody Jennings, who decommitted from Michigan to go to Miami. It's very weird. He's a weird guy. And I think we've all kind of been saying that for however long, but I'm just glad to not have to worry about a recruiting writer beefing with parents of recruits or ruining commitments. Jordan Young, he almost ruined Jordan Young coming to Michigan last year.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that didn't happen earlier with him, moving on to a different school.
There's a similar story with Bryce Underwood.
Yeah, and that's when he called us a random podcast. But little did he know.
You knew
what was going on.
We got a lot of intel there. But I mean, just crazy to me, all of that, but
did you see Bryce, not Bryce Underwood, of course, but Bryce Merritt's tweet, and it was just waving goodbye?
I did see that.
He always talked trash about Bryce. And Bryce, if you've met Bryce or if you've interacted with him on the message board, is the nicest guy in the world.
Literally,
how with Bryce, dude. He just does his job at a high level. He doesn't talk trash. He just
he's so professional.
Yeah,
he's so professional about it. And I've hung out with Bryce on a personal level, and he's the nicest, coolest guy
dude.
ever.
When we were at the golf outing, he was having a great time. I think he had a couple beers, and we were just shooting the breeze. And he's an awesome dude. So if you don't like Bryce, that says more about you than it does about Bryce. You know
Agreed.
what I mean?
The funny thing is, though, I think that our friend EJ is he's still going to try to like trigger Michigan fans through Miami, or like, now Miami's obviously, they were in the national title game. They are like, they're more than like 3-4 years ago. They were just throwing big dollars at players, and they didn't have any like real juice. Now they do have some juice. And so he's going to like, they're going to be like, Miami's going to beat out Michigan for a couple recruits. He's going to try and trigger you. Just don't fall for the bait. Don't do it. That's all he's got. The number of parents that like told me that they had bad interactions with him was significant. Shout out Bryce. Nobody has ever told me that. And this isn't an On3 versus like 247 or rivals thing.
No, we got friends at On3, man, and I'm glad that I don't have to. I felt like they would be lumped in my disdain sometimes for On3 because Clayton's the man, Broom's the man. Yes. Like, got a lot of respect for those guys. I don't know anybody else there, but there's guys that are doing it a long time, and then they got some up and comers on the recruiting side. Like, they're all great dudes.
The number
was just the one guy there. I was like, come on, man. Like, why are we acting like it's just childish? And
the number of times I had to like shoot Clayton a text and be like, yo, what's going on? And he's like, yeah, man, I can't control him. That's him. That's not me. And he's like trying to like, remove himself from it. And now I'm assuming that they have a little bit of a sigh of relief as well. So
see, I don't care about what like someone like him does, but if it's going to negatively affect my enjoyment of watching Michigan football by not letting them get great players, and thankfully it didn't, but it almost did, then yeah, I'm going to be like, dude, what the hell? Yeah. Like the whole thing with Jaden Davis, and I know Jaden Davis is now East Tennessee, whatever. All right, he can pat himself on the back about his evaluation and all that.
You don't have to be a dickhead about it.
No, dude. Like, it's a high school kid, man. Like, what are we doing, bro?
You're in your 30s, brother. You can evaluate players without being a total dickhead and making it be like, no, that kid fucking sucks, right? So,
like, dude, I mean, you don't got to be a sunshine pumper. I like to do that. I'm very optimistic. I like to, think Michigan does everything the right way and has the best players, but that's not always the case, right? But yeah, it was just like, so, I have had ever since he called us a random podcast, which we are, but like, dude, look at I looked at our numbers after he said that. I was like, brother, we're doing okay. You know what I mean?
People are, not to pat ourselves on the back, but I think people are aware of generally who we are. Sometimes it's like those guys, but they're generally aware.
Dude, I'm a moron, and I know that, but I just come on here and have fun, shoot the breeze. Like, that's what this is all about. We're not like, there are other Michigan podcasts if you want recruiting, right? Like, there are other things for that. If you want in-depth analysis, and I listen to all the podcasts. There's one for that. That's probably my favorite personally. But like, we're just a couple guys that come on here, have some fun, man. Yeah. We just do it for the love of the game, love of the pod. And, so like, and sometimes people know things. And so, for him to be like, oh, that random podcast, it's like, all right, bro. Like, well, I mean, come on, man.
It's crazy.
I'll leave it at that. I just had to get that off my chest because I'm glad that we're moved on from that era. It was
we had to acknowledge it, I think. But yes, we're all moving on. I will be happy to not mention him ever again and not have to deal with it. So that's my plan. But yeah, man, I'm excited for spring football. It's February. Like I said, it was 30 degrees today. It feels like we're at least on the other side of like negative degree weather. Before we know it, it'll be March, and before we know it, it'll be March, and then they'll start spring practice. So just get through the next couple months by watching some Michigan basketball. Also, I know we should have mentioned this earlier too, but Michigan hockey, #1 in the country, dominated Ohio State. I believe they have Michigan State coming up, if that's right. Again, we're not the smartest people. I'm not super dialed in on hockey, but shout out hockey. Shout out women's basketball. They also are dominating. Nothing makes me quite happier than 2 Michigan teams going to the Breslin in 72 hours and quieting both like 2 sellout crowds. That makes me very, very happy. So shout out to them. Shout out to the ladies. They're killing it. They're going to be, I mean, barring what happens down the stretch here, but they could be like a 2 seed in the tournament. So they're very, very good.
Yeah, man. And they've been in tight games with the best programs in the country. And, they've done a great job, but now it's, can you get over the hump? Can you go and beat UConn? Can you beat South Carolina, right? Can you win those big momentous
really
games?
Just I think their next step is get to a Final Four. Get to a Final Four. I think that like if they can hang a Final Four banner, and I'm not like trying to mitigate what they could do, because I do think that they are good enough. I mean, Silas Swords is unbelievable. Olivia Olson is great. Mila Howell is awesome. Yeah, friend of the pod. They're awesome. Shout out KBA. She retweets us a lot, so I appreciate her, and I know her personally. I like KBA a lot. So so they're balling. It's going to be fun to watch all 3 of those teams down the stretch here. Michigan hockey, they need to win a natty. If you just make it to the Final Four or the natty again, I hate to say that that's like a disappointment because it's an unreal accomplishment, but we're to the point where, speaking of getting over the hump, you got to go win one for us.
Yeah, man. It's, it's been 28 years, think
of the last handful of years of like how many chances you had, You've
been in the Frozen Four so many times, right? I mean, we watched it at B-Dubs one time, and they ended up losing in the Frozen Four. Back in 22, they lost to Denver in overtime. And you're just like, dude, like you turn it over in your own end. And it's just, it's just one of those things where it's like they're so close, and they're going to get there. I have no doubt. I have a lot of faith in Brandon Arado. It's a great job that he's done with the program, and just keeping things rolling after some things that happened with the program a few years ago in Mel Pearson. So, just really excited to continue to watch that team. Really all the teams, specifically basketball and hockey. But I'm excited, man. I want to see the women's team make a run. Obviously just want to see the men's make a run and watch hockey make a run, man. Watch the rest of the team, all that stuff. So it's a good time of year.
Could be a fun March and April for sure.
I'm hoping so, man. And the Detroit Pistons too. They just made a trade. I know a lot of people aren't jiving with it with Kevin Huerter not shooting that well from 3, but I think it could be with the Pistons and the Wings this year. We might have some fun in April, hopefully May and beyond, man, because it's been good to watch those teams so far this year. So
for sure. We were at the Pistons. What's that?
It's a good time right now. Like
our great time
are doing well.
I was a little nervous that Duncan was going to be thrown into that Pistons trade, but
we need the shooting too much, man.
I know.
I'm thankful.
I'm thankful that it wasn't. It was kind of cool. We went to the Pistons Suns game. Devin Booker didn't play, which sucked, but it was all on the court at once was Duncan, Karras, and Livers, because Livers is on the Suns. So pretty cool that like those 3 guys are still kicking it in the league. It's hard to stay in the league for a long time, dude. It's really freaking hard.
Well, especially with Isaiah, like he had a hip issue, his injury, and so for him to hopefully find a landing spot, I was really excited when the Pistons drafted him. And
I know,
one of the better players at Michigan over the last this century. Really good basketball player. So, yeah, man, a lot of good stuff going on. Good to get back in here, chop it up a little bit, but I'm looking forward to spring football and watching these basketball teams, this hockey team, man. It's going to be a fun spring.
100%. Another thank you to Feldman Chevrolet of Highland. Go check them out, feldmanchevy.highland.com. Check out Woodson Whiskey too, woodsonwhiskey.com. They've got some limited edition bottles on their website if you want to go check them out. And Charles is I think he's out of the Super Bowl this week doing some appearances. Our boy, not as high level as like, coming to the bushes in Ann Arbor and hanging out with us, but I'm sure he's going to have a good time. So
yeah, I wish him well. And man, Super Bowl, it's kind of sad. Football's already over, but his basketball team is it's a lot more fun than 2 years ago, man.
That's for sure.
The Natty could only do so much heavy lifting for the basketball team. So this is a nice change of pace.
Yeah, it gets you through these couple months. Otherwise, if your basketball team stinks through these months, there's like it's really hard. There's nothing
dark.
going on.
It gets dark. Like it's dark right now. Like
yeah,
my Logitech light's doing a lot of work right now. Because it is completely dark outside. So
same. All right. For us, you can follow us at BlueBy90 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at BlueBy90.com. And wait, I screwed it up. And for us, you can follow us at BlueBy90 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at BlueBy90 Podcast on YouTube, and BlueBy90.com. We appreciate you. Keep that in. Go Blue.
Go Blue.